Welcome to Black Man Lab. We are live October 5th, Monday, and we will have a great session tonight. We have a topic that is going to be quite interesting. We'll be talking about relationships and how to build relationships. Tonight we will have some prestigious guests on. Also, I will be co-hosting with my man, Brother Joe Barker. Joe.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Appreciate you guys joining us tonight once again. I'm always glad to be here with you, Marty. I know sooner or later we'll be back in space together in some form or fashion, but until then, it's always glad to be here on with you, man.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Just some housekeeping. Generally, what we do every week is kind of talk about where we started at as Black Man Lab, and then some of our normal things that we do on a regular basis each week. Black Man Lab started about 4 years ago or so. Brother Mawuli Davis, who is one of the co-founders, and 3 other brothers decided to get together to just basically spend some time with somebody else talking to their sons outside of themselves. That in itself grew to when we were meeting live, we'd have over 250 people in the space and have some great conversations about different vocations as well as different things that were going to be self-help, being able to help people do some self-improvement as well. Also what we do each week is we make sure that we are checking in with each other and making sure that we are centered and in the right space. And to do that, one of the things that we do is that we get centered. And I'm going to ask Joe to help us get centered.
So when we were in the Y, every week we would meet, and Brother Davis would do a really good job of just checking in with the brothers, young, old, and everything in between. Just how was the week? How are we doing? We're navigating through a lot of different things, and so what we try and do virtually here is just to center ourselves. I won't take you through my meditation technique, but just center ourselves, recognize the things that are happening in this world right now and how we're working desperately towards navigating through it. Before we even came on live here, several of us were just joking about how tired we seem, just giving everything that's going on, just the physical exhaustion that can take over us. So just real briefly, what we want to do is we just want to take some deep breaths. And we want to inhale everything that's going on and then just exhale and let the burdens come off and just drip off and just be at peace and be in space so we can have a great session this evening. So on the count of 3, what I want us to do is just take a deep breath. 1, 2, 3. Now let it out. Let it out. Let it out. Let all the worries, let all the burdens, let all the difficulties that we're challenged with. Let the universe guide us into a sense of peace and a way that we can deal with them with that support, the universe guiding us through it. Let's do one more. Let's take one more deep breath. 1, 2, 3. And breathe it out. Let it go. Let it go. Exhale that. And let's just get ready to receive in the conversation about relationships and finding the right partner that we're going to navigate through here in a spirit of openness and wisdom.
All right, Brother Joe. Thanks so much, man. And it's so important for us to get in a space that we're open to bringing in information into ourselves so that we can be better for our families, our communities, and for the world. When we're together again at Y, one of the things that we always do is we ask brothers, hey, is there anything that's weighing you down? You've had a rough day, a rough week, a rough month, a rough year, or dare I say it, a rough life. We say, hey, come up to the front. We ain't asking no questions. We're just gonna give you some Black Man Lab love. And we put our arms around that brother or brothers and let them know that we are here for them, and let them know that we can take on some of that angst and and strife that they may have, so that we can keep pushing forward, because we know that pushing forward for us is essential, but at the same time, it is a struggle. With that, one of the things that we always want to do is make sure that those that came before us, we acknowledge. We know that none of us would be here if it wasn't for our ancestors, those that came before us, and had to fight the struggles that we haven't seen. And with that, I want to bring on my brother Jared Grant to bring the ancestors into the space. Brother Jared.
All right, brothers. Good evening. How's everybody doing? I hope everyone is well. All right, Bobby, what's up, brother? Our ancestors are important to us. Our ancestors have always been important to us because they are the lifeblood of what makes us a great people. Great in our survival of one of the greatest Holocausts, the world has ever seen. And great in the fact that we created some of the greatest civilizations ever known to humankind. And so let's put them in our hearts and mind right now. I want you to think of some great ancestor, and I want you to put them in your hearts and mind at this moment. So think of someone, a great ancestor who's done some great accomplished things, and put them in your hearts and mind for 3 seconds. And then everybody raise your fist, and on 3, we all say Ashe. 1, 2, 3, Ashe.
Ashe.
And then I want you to think of somebody in your own family. Think of an ancestor in your own bloodline, somebody who helped to create you, whose blood runs through your veins. So think of them at this moment for 3 seconds. Everybody raise your fist. And on 3, 1, 2, 3, say Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. And brothers, I want us to just think about our ancestors on a regular basis, keep them in our hearts and mind. And everyone say Ashe 3 times. Ashe. Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe-o.
Ashe-o. Thank you, Brother Jared. Appreciate that, man. So without further ado, I want us to go ahead and just get into it. And I think we're going to have a good, lively conversation tonight. I see my brother Mawuli Davis has finally joined. Mawuli, you want to jump on real quick and say something?
Still on mute, brother.
Still on mute.
What's up, brothers? It's been one of those days, man. I'm trying to get my phone back. So I'm working on it, man. Good to see Brother Bobby, Brother Joe, and looking forward to this conversation, man. And so, we started all of this for our sons, so that our sons would be able to talk to some brothers that we trusted and believed in. And so we're hoping that they're watching now. If not, we're archiving this for them to watch it in the future, so that when it's time for them to choose a partner in this life journey, that they will watch this before they do. So ready to rock and roll. Thank you, brothers. Appreciate y'all.
All right, bro. So what we'll do is we'll get started with a quick introduction of our panelists. We had 3, and we're including Mawuli as a panelist today. So we had 3 gentlemen on that'll be able to speak from their perspective of what it looks like to have a good, solid relationship and finding the right partner as well. So with that, Brother Bobby, can you give a quick intro?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Greetings, brothers. Hope everybody's doing well. My name is Bobby Jackson. I guess in this conversation, I am the husband of Ayenda Kanyama Jackson. We are co-founders of Tamu Kanyama Preparatory Academy, African Center High School here in Atlanta, Georgia. been in existence for a little over 12 years now, still graduating Black students, sending them to school and the whole nine. Also founder and chess coach, name of the game, Chess in Real Life, one of my passions. Father of four, Ebony, Mahogany, Militia, and Anwar. And that's pretty much me in a nutshell. I'm a big fan of Black Man Lab. I love my brothers. Miss y'all.
You're not a big fan of Black Man Lab, bro. You are part of Black Man Lab.
Big part of Black Man Lab.
Yeah, don't try to get out of here with that. I'm a big fan of Black Man Lab. Bro, you are in here, and we appreciate you, and we always appreciate your presence and everything that you had in Black Man Lab. So thank you, Brother Joe.
There you go.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, brother. Give us a quick intro of yourself, man.
Sure. Joseph Wilson here. Father of two, Jackson and Kingston. Jackson is 2, Kingston is 2 months old.
There we
And I've
go.
been married for 3 years now. My wife, Essence Wilson, we live in Sandy Springs. And again, I've been seeing the great things that you all have been doing. So I'm just happy to be a part of it here today.
Man, we appreciate having you, brother. And you said, now how old is the littlest?
2 months.
2 months old.
2 months. Boy, you enjoy those moments, man.
I'm trying to.
Enjoy those moments because they go fast, man. Because once you get past that toddler age, the rest is all uphill. Take it.
Don't scare him, Marty. Don't scare him. That's not what this is about, man.
Hey, man, I just want people to. Every time I see somebody with a baby, I'm like, hold that baby, love him, because it goes so fast, So appreciate having you, Brother Joseph. Thank you so much, man. Mawuli, everybody knows you, man, but you can go ahead and give your details, brother.
So, married to Jana Johnson Davis for 25 years, August 5th. 2 boys, Kobe, 22, about to turn 23, and Kahari, 20, about to turn 21. Both, Kobe graduated from Howard, and Kahari is in his junior year at Howard. And so, looking forward to this conversation, man. A lot of I think there's a lot to share. I attribute a great deal of whatever I've been able to accomplish good to my relationship with Jana and our ability to work through these life's twists and turns, and they are many.
Absolutely. With that, man, let's start and let's talk about that piece, the finding of a good partner. And Mawuli, I'll let you answer that first. What do you think is key to finding a good partner?
I think the first part is kind of knowing who you are, and I think it's critical that, that we get a chance to really know who we are, know what we're about, know what's important to us, so that, you can't go into a relationship and you're confused about who you are and what you value, and then expect somebody to figure it out for you. And I think that's key and critical. And, I met Jana when she was 12 years old and I was 13. And, obviously I had a lot of growing up to do, a lot to learn. Can you imagine going from 13, you trying to really figure it out. And so, but once you get it figured out, then I think it's about finding someone that compliments you, that brings out the best in you, and I think that's what Jana has done for me. It's not that she's agreed with everything that I've done, even though she's been, crazy supportive, but she has a different perspective on stuff. And that perspective has helped me from making some colossal mistakes in my life. And I think that's how we really, have to value our partners, to find someone obviously who loves you for you, because you know who you are, and then at the same time is prepared to try to make you better in the spaces that you have blind spots, and vice versa. And so that's been, it's a journey, man. I just want to say that it was 2 years ago yesterday or Saturday that Jana completed her radiation treatment for breast cancer. And I look back at that time, man, on our journey, and I was in a very fragile space, brothers, because when you love somebody and the future with them, you got to try to figure out and navigate something as serious as cancer. You just it helps clarify your experience and what's important. So I just wanted to put that out there in the universe. I just give thanks. I'm very, very grateful for the blessing of her, being a survivor and being cancer free 2 years later.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Brother Joseph, what do you think about that same question? What do you think is key finding the right partner? You're obviously a bit newer to having a life partner. What do you think is key?
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback off of what Mawuli said, I mean, it really does start with you, especially in this city, in Atlanta. If you don't know who you are, if you don't know what you want out of life, if you don't know yourself well enough, then you shouldn't waste some of these sisters' time. I mean, I've got so many friends, homegirls who I feel for, because they're just getting, basically played left and right by men who don't want to take them seriously and who don't take themselves seriously. And I think we probably all have had some friends who we probably done. I mean, if I'm being honest, I've been like that in the past before I got married. And so I think it just starts first with being honest with yourself, about what you want. And then once you become honest with yourself and you know who you are and what you want out of your life, then you can start defining what you want to look for in a potential spouse, a potential wife. Is she equally yoked with you, as we've all heard growing up?
Mm-hmm.
And so it comes down, for me, when I was looking for a spouse, and it's not even that I was just actively looking for, like, oh, I'm ready to get married now. I just happened to meet my wife in a time where, it just kind of all clicked, and I realized this was somebody who I could see myself spending the rest of my life with. She was, although she was 6 years younger than me, I was 27, she was 21. She was a very serious, mature young woman. She knew what she wanted out of life. I liked the way she carried herself. I could see her, being a mother to my kids one day. I could see her, and that's important. I mean, if you don't see that person raising your kids in the way that you want them raised, and, treating your kids the way you want them treated, then don't that's not somebody you want to get serious with. Because that's going to create a big conflict down the line if, later down the line y'all have kids and there's, you don't like the way she yells at the kids or whatever it may be. That needs to be something that's congruent with what you want.
Absolutely. I think, both you and Mawuli are talking about that piece of kind of knowing yourself first, right? And there's a couple of pieces to that, right? Number one, your level of confidence in who you are, but then also you got to be honest with yourself and say, sometimes that other person isn't the right person. She might look like the part, but that's not going to fit my personality, right? It's not going to your point, that equally yoked line that we hear all the time, that's not going to fit what I want long term. And I think sometimes, I raise my hand, sometimes we'll lie to ourselves and say, I can make it work, and that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that constant click that I'm sure you guys have always felt. So Lastly, Brother Bobby, I'm gonna ask you that question. I'm gonna hand it over to Joe. Same thing to you. Anything that you can add to that in terms of what are the kind of key factors to look for?
I'm going to do this because I hope, like Mawuli said, sons will be watching this archive in the future when they're ready to make these decisions. So I'm going to say it again. Know yourself. Joe said it well. Mawuli said it well. We ain't going to rehash it too much, but it's that important that you have to know who you are and be authentic about it. That's the other thing. You know, I like how Brother Joseph kind of touched on it. It's brothers, and I will say it, we get out here and we waste so many sisters, so much of their time, their energy, their good years, so to speak, by just kind of BSing around with them because we aren't authentic with ourselves, we aren't authentic with them. The very least we could do is be authentic with them, to give them the choice, to let them have the option to say, you know what, yeah, brother, I can get down with that, or no, bro, I gotta let you go. As a man, that is the very least we could do for a sister. So I'm not gonna beat that horse too much. I really like how they both said it, and I think that is the absolute #1 step. Being real with yourself, knowing who you are, and take some time to do it. Don't rush into that thing. You are important enough. You matter enough to take some time and spend time with you, to learn who you are, to figure out your intricacies and your nuances and your idiosyncrasies, and then step to a sister who, as Mawuli said, can complement you and help you become the best version of who you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. Appreciate you, Bobby. Joe, you have something?
I do. So I want to ask something, and I want to give it a little bit of context. Now, this will be the same thing for each of you brothers, but I want to start with Brother Wilson, because Joseph, you don't know me from Adam, but my wife works for your father. And let me just tell you, that man is always bragging on you, and he's an amazing man himself. I actually really admire him and the leadership that which he has with the state government. But you know, I've heard so much about you already and the wonderful marriage, and I'm going to ask you this, and I want everybody to frame this with the context that some of y'all just said. My father-in-law once told me, he said, that which you most love about your partner, you will come to, he said, hate, despise, be irritated by, whatever adjective you want to put in there. So let me wrap that by saying this. When I met my wife, she was compassionate, loving, and just honest. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna love this. You know, this is awesome. I need somebody who feels for people and loves people and so forth. Well, you know, in this day and age, I don't necessarily want to feel and love everybody, okay? So I'm married to this amazing person who still wants to be compassionate and love everybody. I'm like, I'm not loving them right now. I'm sorry. I do love you, but it's irritating right now because I don't love them. So, Joseph, I have heard how competitive you and you kind of mentioned that your wife was, you know, kind of on the fast track and some things that she did, but you all have a very, you know, very good career and very diligent and hard workers. And there's a spirit of competitiveness positive there. How do you think, as you navigate down the line, do you see that might be something that may be destructive, or how do you keep that as a productive thing?
Sure. So, I mean, I would say at this point, I don't see it being destructive down the line because, you know, we've had great communication about it. And it really, I wouldn't say it was necessarily a competitiveness. I mean, just being transparent, it was probably more of a bit of an insecurity from her side because she was younger than me. I was already kind of set in my career. You know, I was 27. I had a job. I was making pretty good money, whereas she was just beginning her career. And she always wanted to feel like, you know, I'm with this man and I can bring something to the table too. I'm not just, you know, kind of just, you know, eating off of him, so to speak. And I always told her that's not I never felt that way, but that's just how she initially felt. She wanted to make sure that she was quote unquote equally yoked in that way. And so I think it just came down to communicating and just constantly letting her know that, you know, I value you. Yeah. I know you're extremely smart. I know you can be CEO if you choose to be one day. She doesn't want to be anymore, but she, you know, she could if she wanted to.
Right.
Just, you know, continuing to instill that into her. And so now at this point, you know, it's a non-issue, but certainly early on in our careers when, you know, and then she hear about some of the other women I've dated who are a bit around my age, who may be a bit more, you know, further along in their careers. I think it was just more of a little bit of an insecurity thing.
Gotcha. So affirmation sounds like was a major part that you provided and lifted her up. That's awesome, brother. That's awesome. I love it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Bobby and Mawuli, you know, same thing to you all. Is there that one thing that initially, especially for my older brothers that have been doing this for a minute, there's that one thing that you was like, Jana, man, when she was at FAMU or when we was in Chi-Town, I know you was like this, I was loving it. Then 20 years later, it's like, I kind of wish she didn't have that aspect. Like, is there anything that either one of you all would say? And Mawuli, I'm gonna go to you next, and Bobby, I want you to end us up with it.
So, you know, as I think about it, Jane and I are very different on some things, you know, and I think, you know, in the Navy, we used to talk about core values, you know, having core values. And I feel like that's key are the core values that, you know, I love Black people and Jana loves Black people. Yep. I love children and trying to, you know, empower young people, and she loves, you know, to do the same, you know. But we go about things a little differently at times. She, you know, wants to maintain at least some space, you know, where, you know, if it was up to me, man, half the neighborhood might be living at our crib. Right. But she like, you know, hey, we're gonna go hard for our people, but we gotta have some space of our own too, you know, where we can have safe and sacred space. And that, I think, can at times be a strain, because for me, I know no boundaries, you know. I'm just like, man, it's, you know, so Joe, I guess on one side, I'm kind of, you know, I guess I'm exposing and trying to be transparent about my stuff that I think, you know, after 20 years can get on her nerves. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
That's a very real situation, man, because it's you fall in love with the mission, and you work on that mission, and then here comes Jana right here walking up.
Hey, what's up, sis?
It's crazy. I'm sitting here in the car, man. So I can't be talking too bad about her, right?
Never mind that question.
The devil.
Answered it very well too.
But like I say, man, I really think it's about having those shared values, and then just doing the checks and balances. And I think, you know, Joseph mentioned it about communication.
Yeah.
And communication is critical, man, because stuff will get lost in a heartbeat, you know, where it's just, I meant one thing, and it's like, okay, hold on. How did you process that? All right, that ain't what I meant. Hold on, wait a minute, stop. Before we go down this rabbit hole and it gets, you know, things get rough, let's back out. Let me say this is what I really meant.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I hope I answered the question.
Oh, you did, brother. You did.
But yeah, man, it's a beautiful tension that I think we have to have in our relationships, you know, where there's a give and take, and people that are closest to you have to be able to pull you and push you, and vice versa. And it's no different in a marriage.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. And I appreciate the the self-indicting response too, because I talk a lot of junk, but yeah, I mean, y'all all know my wife. If we being honest, you know it's me. You know it's the things that she fell in love with me, like, this dude is out in the streets. Oh, he loves working with youth. Now it's like, man, this dude is always in the streets, man. This dude is always working with you. Like, so I appreciate that, Mawuli, because, and that's real, man. And I think like Joseph said, to go back, exactly what you said, Mawuli, what Joseph said, man, it's communication. I've never tried to hide from her who I'm going to be. I've always been transparent, and I think that communication, Brother Wilson, man, you're the nail on the head at a very early stage in your marriage, man, and that's strong, man. That's strong. I appreciate those words, Bobby
Well,
Jackson.
I got it perfected, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I'm still working on it. Nah, I'm just.
Ain't we all? What about you, Bobby? What you got?
Well, I got set up is what I got, because y'all asked the question when my wife was in the room, so ain't no ducking this one. This is
That's probably why Jana walked up too.
Right. She done sent the text message, girl, get online. I'm just kidding. But the way I look at it, to answer your question as bluntly as I can, Joe, Patrick Beverly is that dude. You see him on the court, and you be like, oh my God, that dude, man, he'll get under your skin. But when he's on your team, you be like, yeah, that's that dude. That's my wife. My wife is tenacious, man. She is absolutely tenacious. She's a warrior. There's just no other way to put it. And like Mawuli talked about, man, with us being the core values of us with youth. That's where we met. I was a youth minister at my church when we first started dating. And we actually met in a lock-in, working with kids. And then we grew up and took over the youth ministry and just kind of evolved from there. But her having that tenacity, that ferociousness, for lack of a better term, it's what some people outside of the circle would call, oh, there she go being, black women got attitudes. And right. Black women, nah. I'm like, that's because she ain't on your squad. That's because she ain't on your team.
Thanks.
With Ayenda, my wife, that's the thing that push and pull that Mawuli was talking about. That's it. She knows, and sometimes she push and push and woo and push, and sometimes she pull and pull and pull. But she has this knack, as Black women do, this instinct that says when they love you, they know exactly how far to push you. And how far and when to pull you back, because there are times that I can get way out there in the community and way out there with my boys and just way out there trying to do the work. And my wife has to go, okay, baby, that's enough. Come on back in. You still got 4 at the house that you need to make sure that they're the priority. And so I appreciate her having that tenacity, and God bless it, I'm glad she's on the team.
Amen.
Because going up against her, woo, I feel for some of my boys that have to go against it. They be like, man, dang, your wife's rough. Yes, dude, she is. She don't play. You might as well get used to it. So I like what Joseph said, though. It really is about a self-evaluation at that point, that I have to make sure, am I being the same thing for her? Am I really taking account to myself? And can she say the same thing about me on the other side of the fence? So that's the best way I could answer that question, Joe.
I respect that.
Yeah, I think that some commonality there is that person that's going to be able to hold you accountable, and have your back, right? So, and when I say hold you accountable, that's tell you when you're wrong, or at least give you a different perspective. Yeah. Mawuli and Jane, I have had the fortune, I'm gonna air quote that, fortune of being with them for the majority of their relationship. So I've seen the push and pull, but at the same time, I tell anybody what they are up to is they are both trying to get to the same space. They're trying to get to the same place all the time. They might have 2 different ways of getting there, but they have that commonality. They're trying to get to the same space. And I think that's what I'm hearing from all 3 of you brothers, is that, it's not always going to be an agreement, but at least you have somebody that you know is trying to get you to the same space. And I think, what were you gonna say, Joe?
Now, I want to supplement something that Bobby said, the pushing and the pulling, man. Like, just that's real, man. They have a tendency to be able to dissect what, you know, will work and help us in that direction. It's funny, you know, I have calls throughout the week and different things, and you know, my wife recently was like, all right, it's too many calls. You know, I get Black Man Lab, I get your Tuesday mentoring call, I get Wednesday, you know, Thursday and Friday, you gotta make some changes. I said, okay, you know, we'll figure it out. It's no big deal. She said, no, it is. At some point, you have to have some time for yourself. I said, so let me get this right. I take you with me to a protest in Sylvania, Georgia with Mawuli, and there was white militia there, and that wasn't the deal breaker, but that extra Zoom call on Thursday night, that's a deal breaker, right? They just, you know, they know where we are, but they still have that innate ability, Bobby, like you're saying, to say, yeah, that's cool. We know what was gonna go on down there when we got there, but you're overcommitting to things and you're getting exhausted. So I like the way you frame that, Bobby. Very true, man. Very true.
Yeah, I think that you know, another perspective that I have is my folks, my parents, who, you know, God bless them, they're both still alive. Dad's 85, mom is about to turn 80 on her next birthday. They've been together for pushing 60 years now. And what I've understood though is that my mom has been, since I was a little kid, very different than my father. My dad has been very different than my mother. He's been steady. He's done the same thing. He's been a teacher and a basketball coach for all those years, 49 plus years. My mom, on the other hand, has every degree that you could imagine, has been a lawyer, has done all kinds of things. But my dad has always been the steady one. My mom's very social, my dad isn't. But they have some commonality, and that commonality is, you know, the things that are most important to them. And I'm getting to that because I think that it's important for the young folks that are listening to have some clarity on that. Clarity on, you know, does this person, you're a young man and you're looking for a young lady to get involved with. You don't know if it's going to be the person that you spend the rest of your life with or not, but you want to see some things that are going to be baseline for you. If you are somebody that comes from a family that appreciates family, obviously it will be helpful for you to be with somebody that appreciates family. My own personal experience, I've dated somebody in the past that didn't have that. And we wound up having all these clashes, and I couldn't understand why. But it was because she didn't have the same level of understanding. So I think it's important for us to make sure that these young folks know that and have that on the front of their mind as they're going down that road. With that, I'm going to ask Bobby, if you could tell a young man today, you could tell a young man who came to you and said, "Hey, Mr. Jackson, I'm looking at, I want to date a young lady." What would be the first things that you would tell him?
The first thing, and I guess I'll harken back. I think the first thing I would tell him, outside of what we've already talked about with the, you know, make sure you understand yourself and you have a good understanding. That's a good foundation. Now, in reference to her, probably the absolute first thing I would say is get over that physical. Let's get past that right now. Okay, she's cute. Yeah, she's fine. Yeah, okay, great, wonderful. Now, what else is there? Because if you're dating her for cute and fine, you're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna be in trouble down the line. That doesn't mean anything's wrong with her. That's not even it. But a lot of times, as young brothers, we go into it real surface. And if I'm going to say it to my 14-year-old son, to my godson, then I'm going, hey, you know, let's get beneath that surface. If there's somebody you're really talking about dating, you know, now we're just going to the movies or we're just going to hang out. But you seriously talking about this young lady, like, you know what, she could be somebody serious in the future. And okay, I'm gonna need you to get past the surface thing, and who are her people? Let's have some in-depth conversations. What is her view on children? What's her view on politics? What's her view on religion and spirituality? If you aren't able to answer those questions, then you're setting yourself up for a fall. Because I think Joseph said it earlier, and about when you have kids down the line, or and you like kids and she don't, or she like the community and you ain't even trying to be about that. Y'all got to be on some level playing field there, or again, it's a setup for failure. And I've watched it too many times. It looks like a power couple. You look cute together. You take good pictures together. That's great, and your bank account looks nice. But the substance, what are you doing when if something should go down, somebody gets ill, God forbid, and that bank account gets depleted, or somebody gains more weight than you were used to, or somebody has a physical ailment and they don't do the same things physically that they used to. Where are you going then? And that's going to be the real test. So if you aren't committed to her outside of her measurements and her Instagram pics, you setting yourself up for a fall.
Right on, absolutely. It's funny because I think that so often, a young man will be like, I've had this happen to me, where somebody else say, "Oh, dude, why did you leave old girl? She was fine." Well, that wasn't it, right? There's more to doing. Yeah, of course it's nice you want to be attracted, but once you get past the physical attraction, that mental attraction is keep you in the ballpark, man, for sure. Howley, what about you? You got anything on that?
Man, I think Bobby, it's all about substance. It's all about substance, man. And you obviously want to find someone that is physically attractive to you, that gets your juices flowing. At the same time, can you have a conversation with them? Do they make you laugh? Can y'all laugh together? Can y'all cry together? Can you just be still together? I mean, so I would say take your time in that process. Take your time, so that, because I really do think we meet representatives of each other, and it takes time for those representatives to kind of fade, for the genuine, authentic person to emerge, and then you get to see that person, and that's really it's not, and I'm not saying it derogatory. All of us, we're always going to present our best face. We're going to always present our best, and it's not like we're trying to be shady. It's just that you want to put your best foot forward in any relationship, whether it's in business, personal, romance. You want to put your best foot forward. So, even at the firm, I look at it kind of like, at the firm, it takes us, you can know early on kind of if a person has the capacity to do something, but it could take 6 months to a year before you know whether or not they are a good fit. They fit the culture of what you are a part of and what you believe in, and they have and whatever idiosyncrasies they have, they're manageable, because we all have them, and it's just a question: is that a deal breaker? And is this something that, okay, that ain't how I would move on that, but it's nothing. There's not an integrity issue there, it's just a different perspective. So that's what I say. Take your time and really get to know people. By the time Jen and I got married, we had seen each other in a lot of different lights, and had a chance to, get past the moonlight, sunlight, and then you could just, see the regular, no rose-colored glasses. It was like, hey, this is who I am. This is the core of who I am, and what you think. And I can rock with you. All right, well, I can rock with you, and I love you. Let's move. And I know that does sound real romantic, You know, like people like, I want to see my woman and she just takes my breath away. And that may be part of it, you know, but I think part of it is real practical. And I think sometimes we use Western standards that are not fitting for ourselves as African people. You know, I think those standards create and put us in a position where most marriages end in divorce, and we have to just try to purge that Eurocentric kind of individualistic psychology out and go back to communal, go back to taking our time and marrying families.
Yeah, I think you know, one of the other things is, as you talk about taking your time, is asking a lot of questions early. I think young folks, we so often are have a proclivity to deal with those things when we talk about just the physical or one or two things that you like about somebody. Somebody's funny, whatever, and then we don't ask those deeper questions to really understand who somebody is. So as you do that, there's two things that happen. Number one, you find out about the person, but on the other side of it is, you know, they look at you as somebody who actually may care about them, you know, because you're asking questions about them, exploratory questions. So, Brother Joseph, how about you? Anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it starts with just being honest with that other person you're dating about your intentions with them, just kind of piggybacking off what I said earlier. I just think it's important to be honest with them and what you see with them for the future. Just, you know, Mawuli said that when he said the word representing, it just made me think of something, and that just being comfortable and confident that that person is going to represent you the right way when you're not with them. That was a big thing for me. You know, I'm in a lot of organizations. I'm a lawyer here in town. I want to make sure that the person who I'm with, when they're out and I'm not with them, that they're going to represent me the right way. And I should be representing them the right way, that I'm not going to be having to worry about what they're doing or be embarrassed by something they may do while I'm not there. So that was just something that was pretty critical for me personally. And then, you know, he also mentioned just being able to sit silently with that person and being comfortable in that silence, in each other's silence as well, because I'm a pretty quiet person anyway. And I'm always kind of in my own head, just thinking about, sometimes I'm thinking about what I have to do tomorrow or whatever. So just being comfortable with, you know, obviously we have to have great communication. We're going to laugh and have fun with each other, but sometimes just being able to sit there and just hang out with each other and being silent and being okay with that, being comfortable with that, and her accepting who you are as a person and vice versa as well.
Well said. Well said. And
Let me,
on that, Brother Wilson. Go ahead, Molly. Go ahead.
I just want to jump in, Brother Wilson. I mean, he said a mouthful when he mentioned how this, you know, your significant other represents you. And I'm just going to be 100. I have seen brothers who were limited because of their choice in spouses. I mean, it didn't elevate them. And you don't marry because you're not looking for somebody like, okay, how can they, you know, lift me up? But I think that representation, that ability to be able to move in a room, to be able to communicate, to be able to represent your family in all kinds of different spaces, man, that is huge. That is huge because, you know, there have been situations where people have rocked with me because they rock with James. It wasn't, you know, I don't think I was that impressive, but they were just like, my wife is so sweet, you know, why don't da-da-da-da-da, you know, and having someone who people, you know, can really connect with because they're a good person. And, you know, sometimes I think couples can get locked into their own worlds where they only, it's like, you know, it's not just how you relate to me. How do you relate to my mama? How do you relate to my father? How do you relate to my boys? You know, and if, I mean, that's my world, you know, and if we're about to join worlds, it should be vice versa. If I'm walking around talking about I can't stand your friend, you know, how is that gonna work? You know, because we're living in a collective kind of space. So it's just me and you. This is a community relationship, and when those relationships are strong, you get support. You know, like Jane and I have always had the support of Marty and our other friends, because we all rock together. And I just think that's something that's significant.
Yeah. And Mawuli, you hit the nail on the head. I was gonna thank Brother Wilson for making that transparent point, because I think we all may feel that way, but we all didn't necessarily say it. But that is a very, very good point, and it's something that as our sons listen to this broadcast later, that they hear that, because that's real. And Brother Wilson, thank you for bringing that up. And to that end, Mawuli, let me just say that I didn't start getting an invitation to your annual party until I married Ronnie. So I'm just saying, obviously, she elevated my status, bro. I mean, I didn't want to say something because you was having a moment. It's okay. I've known you for a long time, bro, but it's okay.
That's crazy, man. You know,
Wilson,
these sisters make us better. You know, they make us hip.
They do. They do. Brother Wilson, I want to ask you something, because as our sons listen to this in the near future, and this is definitely, I've heard so many nuggets now, this is definitely, Marty, one that we're going to need to replay on one of the holidays or Wednesday. Brother Wilson, I want to ask you this. When I was navigating, you know, in a relationship, about to get married, you know, my wife, she couldn't look at my Facebook and see my past 10 relationships. She couldn't look at my Instagram and see where I've been the past 2 years and where I go out to drink. She couldn't see all that. And I mean, I'm a little bit older, so that's cool. But I really want, because these young brothers need to hear from a young brother like you, what was that relationship building and communicating like, when we all know now? I mean, I walk out the door now, my wife knows exactly where I'm going, where I've been, what I drank, etc. And I'm good with it. I ain't got nothing to hide. But what does that look like as you were determining a partner and building a relationship with that partner in such an age of social media?
Yeah, it's tough. Social media makes things a lot tougher. I mean, early on in our relationship, when we were just dating, again, just very early on, and full transparency, before I was a bit of a playboy, like I said, like a lot of us. So, you know, she wanted to see all that. And I'd be like, nah.
I love your transparency, brother. I love it. I love it.
Hey, Joseph, you'd be like, that's gonna add nothing to this relationship.
I wouldn't even go on that. I didn't even go that far. I just be like, nah.
Yeah, nah.
But you know, we had to grow into that, and again, it was just about me being serious and realizing, okay, I need to become more mature. If this is someone I'm going to be serious about, you got to stop with the games. And if it's going to help her to, you know, trust me more to be able to do that, all right, I'm going to suck it up. And so that's how we continue to build that trust, because otherwise I knew if I kept being like, nah, you can't see it, she would never trust me. In fact, the trust would erode and erode and erode until there was nothing there. And so now at this point, I mean, it's open. She can, not that she doesn't even ask to look at my social media anymore. And then she hasn't for years, maybe 4 or 5 years. But yeah, it's tough in this age of social media. I mean, if you're young out there, they can see who you're following, who's following you, who's commenting on your pictures, who's in your DMs, who's not in your DMs. You know, all of that is open for the public's consumption and for your girlfriend or your spouse's consumption as well. And so it's really about, again, you got to have that trust. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. And frankly, with Instagram, Facebook, there's a lot of ways you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. I've seen it for some of my homeboys as well. So just be careful out there, for sure.
And that's honestly, man, again, I love your transparency, man. And you are clearly in a great space with brothers like Bobby and Mawuli who are transparent as well. But the two words I heard you use there, man, trust and communication. See, that's what I need these younger brothers to hear. What I heard you say, and we can play it back. What I heard you say is, yeah, I was that dude. I did this. But when I saw, this is somebody I'm serious about, you made the change. You took that upon yourself, was like, that's not the life that I'm about no more, because I want a different life. I want a different lifestyle. And I think, man, that's critical. These young brothers hear that, because I don't think, in all fairness, I don't think they're necessarily looking 2, 5, 10 years back to know what we did as much as patterns to see what we're still doing. And it sounds like you made that adjustment. So there's a different pattern, and there's trust and the communication that you hit from day one when you said that. That's bold strokes, man. That's great. Appreciate that, man.
Bro.
Bobby, one thing I wanted to ask you, a little bit different question. And we talked about this a little bit before we went on air. Relationship building. Now, you and your wife are navigating the communities and that school together, doing some very great things, but challenging in this environment. Well, then COVID comes along and makes it even more challenging, especially in the environment that you guys are in. So I know you guys navigated the school piece, and I don't necessarily want to know that much, but tell me how you navigated your relationship as those things started getting difficult. What were your moves? What did you have to step back and say, I need to do this because of this? Like, what did that look like?
Excellent question, by the way, Joe. I will tell you this. We were fortunate that a lot of our foundation, 20 years of marriage in, and, almost 26, 27 years of being together. We're okay with that sitting in silence that Joseph was talking about earlier. So the COVID thing on this side was actually a blessing to an extent. Because, but like you said, Joe, your wife was like, "Hey, you're moving too fast. You got to take it easy. You got to take care of yourself." And so we were talking to our children not too long ago, and we were going to go somewhere. And it's, well, when is Dad's day off? And my wife goes, "Your dad don't have a day off. You work every day of the week. You're doing something. You always got someone." And so to be able to say, you know what, I'm gonna slow you down. If you can't slow yourself down, we're gonna make sure the universe put it in order that said, all right, bang. And it enabled me to stop for, when it first hit, a good 2-3 weeks of just solid being with family. That was it. We watched movies, we baked, we played games, we had deep conversations, pillow talk and the whole nine. So it was, we took it as a real blessing to be able to say, you know what, let's use this time to move forward in whatever we're dealing with, whether it's a business issue, whether it's a personal issue, whether it's our families, but just to be able to take this time and solidify that we've already built. It was good. Everybody needs to take that time to just say, you know what, we do these business retreats and we do church retreats. You got to do a couples retreat. Do a retreat with your significant other, and just be like, hey, this is our time. Every May or every December, whenever it's going to be, we gone. We'll be back in a week or whatever it's going to be. We're going to take this time. No cell phones, no TVs. We're just going to build and see where it takes you. So that's kind of the way we navigated the whole COVID thing. It's been rough for some, family members dealing with it and just dealing with the environment in general. But for us personally, it was one of the better things that could have happened during this time.
Man, I appreciate that. That's a really good spin and hopeful, kind of outlook on some of the things that we've been dealing with. I definitely say, man, we did some things, my wife and I started making just update videos, like here's how we're doing, because we can't see people, put that out there a little bit. We had a dance contest with the family. So I feel you on that, man. And that's important, man. And that's good. And I like people able to hear that and say, hey, it's not gloom and doom. Here's some things you could do. Here's things you good. I like that. Mawuli, now last but definitely not least for you, probably known you and Jana the longest, and I have seen just personally both of you all take such powerful turns in your careers and your commitments. Tell us a little bit about the relationship. You talked about this a little bit earlier, Mawuli, but tell us a little bit what that did in the relationship as you both started dedicating yourself more to the community and civic work within the community. You know, what was that like? Was it just constant communication? Was it jumping into spaces and figuring it out? How was the relationship navigated during those times?
Yeah, man, that's a great question, because what people, I think the perception has always been as I'm the nationalist, the Pan-Africanist, and I'm the one out. But really, man, Jana was, she was practicing Kwanzaa when she was in the second grade. You know, she was committed to going to an HBCU coming out of high school, you know, and I didn't have that level of cultural consciousness that I think she had much more inherently. I had different, you know, thoughts and ideas about how to navigate as a Black man in America coming out of high school. And, but she really has always been grounded in, you know, her Black African womanness, you know what I mean? And that I think is important for people to understand. So it was just it's really been a matter of time for the children to get into a space where she was able to do more. But we've been organizing together really since we were married. Prior to our marriage, we were organizing a Kwanzaa event in Chicago every year. When we went to Spain, we were organizing African American Heritage Committee over in Spain together. Then, you know, we got here, you know, and, you know, that's when we had Kahari. So, you know, obviously that slowed her a little, but, you know, it really has been, it's really been a trip. I know that's not a real descriptive word, but it's really been deep to work on stuff with her, you know, like what she's doing with Georgia Coalition to Save Lives, and how she's done so much work around COVID-19 and the victims, and how this is a personal passion of hers. And so what it's helped me do is learn how to be more in a support role, you know, because she's been supportive when I've been on the front line. So now this is giving me a chance to try to be supportive of her, because, you know, this is her, she's leading the project, you know. And so it isn't always easy or smooth, but I just think it's about reciprocity, you know. And I just want to say this too, Joe, man, one of the things that I think I would encourage young brothers to do is to watch your mental diet, what goes into your mind and into your spirit. Take a look at that, you know. And you know, I grew up on Tupac and Biggie and you know, Eric B. and Rakim and Public Enemy, and you know, while there have been some misogynistic lyrics, and that's real, it's a whole different level right now. You know, there are songs that women are making that are all about the objectifying themselves. You know, like you got to decide. You got to make sure that if that's your entertainment, that you keep it in the entertainment box.
Right.
Because I know music prepares you. You know, there are songs of preparation in the church setting. They preparing you for something. You know, and so I'm very conscious about the music that I listen to, because I don't want to come into the crib, you know, with something on my head that's not going to fit with a liberated African woman. You dig? That ain't gonna go down right. So I just encourage brothers to really look at, you know, what they're putting in their spirit, in their minds, man, because it manifests. It really does manifest. It'll shape how you deal with your woman. You know, that's why we just can't. That's why I say we have to be very careful not to let these Western standards corrupt, you know, how we move. You know, what is that historically been healthy for us? And if it hasn't, you know, we should reevaluate it.
Good points, brother. Good points.
Absolutely, man. And I think that and Black Man Lab is a good place for this, right? Because what we're designed to do at Black Man Lab is to be in a space of, and I don't like to use the term mentorship, but that's, you know, the term that most people will recognize, in that we want to be models for our young Black men coming up, give them a space to see what it looks like to have what we're talking about here today, a good relationship, what it looks like to be a strong, you know, Black man. And a piece of that I think that we need to kind of talk about is it's easy for us to say these things about what we should do to look for a good relationship. But I think that there's some role models that we have had in our lives that help us to shape that, right? I talked about my parents. That's all I've ever wanted, was to be in a space that I, you know, had somebody that was a life partner like that. I'm fortunate right now. I have a very good woman that I'm with. But I'm not going to see 60 years of marriage, you know, because I'm not married right now. But that's what we want. That we want like Mawuli and Jana, Joe and your wife, Bobby and your wife, Joseph and your wife. You guys are good models for people to look at. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think that what we're seeing right now is our young men are being molded by a couple of things. We got social media, and then we got the entertainment world, to what Mawuli was just talking about. How do we pivot from that for them? What do you think is the key to being able to getting them to see what a real relationship looks like? Nowadays, they don't see it. They don't see it that often. What do you think is the key to being able to do that? Bobby, I'll start with you.
I'm a lot like you on that, Marty. My parents are just hit the 49th year of their wedding anniversary back in May. My wife's parents, maybe just a couple of days ago, celebrated their 50th. And so in the same way that, yeah, shout out to Robert and Hattie Jackson and Baba Hakima and Mama Tamu. I got a sense of love there because they're setting the example. And I use that to counter your question about social media and the entertainment industry. We have to be as bold and excited and expressive about our stories as the entertainment industry and social media is about theirs. You know, my wife's sister is doing a big blowout on social media for her parents' 50th anniversary. That's what it has to be done like that. We have to see more stories like that. We can't, you know, just say, oh, ain't nobody gonna care about it. If one person sees it and it makes a difference in that young brother or young sister's life, then it was worth it. Every major corporation out here, their number one budget is marketing. Every one of them. They're going to push more into marketing, even the research and development. So if we look at that from a relationship or community standpoint, we got to push our stories. We got to tell our stories, and we have to control our medium to do that. So being able to say, you know what, this young couple did this. If I'm talking about a brother like Joseph Wilson, and who's, you know, helped raising a 2-month-old now with his wife, brothers need to hear about this story. You know, this brother changing diapers. Yes, man, he changing diapers. That's what we do. And to know that it's okay. That's not, matter of fact, it's better than okay. It's good. And and that becomes a norm. In the same way that an artist becomes a norm or a ball player becomes a norm, a Mawuli Davis, not just as an attorney, but as a father becomes a norm. A Joe Barker as a husband becomes a norm. So that's what I think we have to do, is to do more of just celebrating in our communities, celebrating with our own children about our love stories. Talk to your grandparents about how they met. Talk to your great aunt and them, and how they came up and what court was, and just all these little things that can help make a difference and get back to some of those roots and standards. So that would be my piece on it.
I'm gonna give that one a big ashe, my brother, big time. I totally agree with that. Got to celebrate those moments, man. All of us.
Absolutely. Joseph, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, just to kind of piggyback off that, completely agreed about sharing our stories, even on just social media, to our network. It's funny, whenever I post on Instagram, the pictures that get the most likes, so to speak, are the ones that involve my wife, me and my wife. So people do care. I will say, I think we have some more work. I mean, I think with our Black women appreciate it a bit more. I think just judging strictly by social media and just looking at the engagement on those type of pictures, I think our Black women are a little bit more mature and a bit more ahead. So I think it just takes what you guys are doing, which is mentoring our Black men, setting that example, bringing your kids around, bringing your wife around, having these conversations, talking about your relationship with your wife and with your kids, and setting that example face to face, hopefully post-COVID at some point. I just think that's really important, because they need to see more of it. Because like you said, I mean, I'm 34. I still listen to rap, and you're not going to hear about these types of things in the music that our generation listens to. You're just not. I mean, in fact, it's going to be the direct opposite, and that's exactly how they feel, and that's exactly their mentality. Exactly. I mean, it's the word for word. That's how they talk. So that's what we have to overcome, and it's a steep uphill battle, and the only way you can overcome that is hitting it directly, going at it directly, and that is mentoring these kids directly. So again, shout out to what you all are doing, because I think it makes a big difference.
Brother Joseph, appreciate that, man. Mawuli, anything you want to add to it?
Man, I really, I wanted people to kind of know and understand, man, who Joseph Wilson and Bobby Jackson are, because I think they got to have some context, man. Joseph is one of our rising legal stars. I mean, he's right there, and folks, he has a very successful practice. So this isn't, I just want people to understand that one of the things that we talked about, and we talk about in some of what things that we do, is that you can be successful and socially conscious at the same time. That your success doesn't mean that you forego being a good, solid brother, husband, father. That is the success, right? And I just want people to lean in and Google, take a look at who Joseph Wilson is. And then Bobby, man, this brother and his wife, they built a freaking school, bro, like a school. They're impacting people's lives on a daily basis. They're giving children hope that in other situations didn't have hope. They are part of a revolutionary tradition. His wife's parents are movement people and have been for forever. And so I just, so this is a second generation of movement work that has survived. So what I see when I see them is I see hope. I see role models. I see the reality of what's possible. And I just want, people to really understand that, these brothers are doing it at a very high level in their respective spaces, and they have not, a part of their success. And I think when we are at our best, is that when we're doing right by our family and our community, and it starts with our family. And Gary White always hits us with that. Start with yourself, your family, then get your block, community. And I know I'm butchering it, but I just really wanted us to just take a look and understand that. And the reality is, man, most of the black men that I know are doing this. So, I'm sure there are a bunch of brothers out here who aren't, but why are we highlighting them? Like, I know I can run through all my boys, man. Like I got a whole gang of boys from Chicago, from Atlanta. I even got a boy from Racine, Wisconsin, man, doing his thing. And that's Jerry Grant, y'all, Professor Jerry Grant. So, man, I just want us to make sure that we keep celebrating each other, man, and having these safe spaces where no ego, just love, And I called Joe Wilson up today, like, hey, bro, can you jump on? He was like, yeah, I love to jump on. He's like, when? I said, tonight. He's like, oh, okay. like that's what you Negroes are doing. Y'all calling people gay up. But here he is. So, so man, I just wanted to share that.
I think that I think, Mawuli, to your point, man, is that's what we need to do anyway. The healing that we can do for our communities is us as Black men being able to coalesce, pull each other into these spaces that we all agree on, right? There's everybody here that's on this call today. Everybody here has the same mindset. Everybody here has the same goals, same aspirations for us as a community. Problem is that we sit in our segments so often that we're not taking the opportunity to get together, put that power together so we can pull more of us along, man. That's where we're at. Hey, man, look, we are way up against the clock. I just realized, man, this conversation, man, is one that needed to be had and still needs to be had. We need to go deeper. We've talked about actually having this conversation, and Black Man Lab has always been men on this call, but I think that it might be appropriate for us to have women on to have this same discussion. So we're gonna look to do that here in the future. We might bring each of you all's wives on, man. That might be a worthwhile thing, man. If y'all can convince them.
Bobby's wife is over there waiting right now. She's like right next to him, like, what?
Oh, yeah. I know Jane is ready.
She's in the wings.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Bobby's. I can see Bobby's wife in the mirror. So
in the mirror, literally.
Yeah. All right.
Look,
that's good stuff, man.
She's waiting to pick him up from Black Man Lab at the YMCA because I'll come out there before. She's like, is he still in there? Like, bring his butt out. Tell him to pack up his chest stuff and bring his behind out. It's time to go home.
She's
I can't
like
wait
this.
till we get back together again, man, face to face.
Classic.
Can't wait. So brothers, I don't want us to wrap up without hitting this one thing before we go. We always talk about habits, rituals, and disciplines of things that we do on a daily basis to keep us pushing forward. And today I want to do that a little differently. I want you to talk about the habits, rituals, and disciplines that you do in your relationship. Not just what you do for yourself, but what you do in your relationship. Those things are important in keeping your relationship consistent and moving forward. Mawuli, I'm gonna hit you first because I know you can be long-winded.
Now I'm gonna be super quick. I tell Jana I love her every day. Every morning before I leave, I say goodbye. I don't ever walk out of the house without saying I love you. I try to bring flowers to the house at least once a week. Maybe it might be every other week, but I'm trying to do at least once a week. And then I've really been working at it, and I think Bobby is so right. COVID really helped slow me down. So I've really been working at trying to talk to her during the day for a minute and you know, just, hey, how you doing? Just to check in, because that was a real issue. You know, she'd call and I'm rushing her off the phone, and that just isn't a good vibe. So I've tried to be a little bit more consistent in checking in with her during the day. So those are my habits, rituals, and disciplines. See, I was quick, Marty.
That's really weird for me, actually, but thank you. Brother Bobby, how about you?
I'll be very authentic. One of the things that I like to do is give her a little tap every day. I'm gonna let y'all take that where y'all want to take that. But you know, it's just, hey, just to let you know I'm here. Hey, you know, thinking about you. You know, she's like, did you just say that on Zoom? Yes.
She over there laughing. Bobby, you are the man. My wife is over there telling me, Joe, take notes. Take notes. Take notes, Joe.
But I will say this a little more seriously. Her birthday, we're in birthday season in my household, and so her birthday is coming up on the 18th. And so just one of the little things that we've been doing this go round is our 18 for 18. So I'm just every day building up to the 18th, just getting her some little gift. She don't know what's coming. She don't know when it's going to happen. Yesterday she said, I didn't get my gift. And I was like, oh man, I completely forgot. I got you though. So we doubled up. But I've learned it's the little things. It's the little things done repeatedly that really make the difference. So that's kind of where I am.
That's awesome. That's good stuff, man. And hey, she's a October Libra baby, man. That's 2 days before mine, so I got special love for her. All right.
Good folk. Good folk.
Joseph, how about you, bro?
Yeah, I'll be quick. And we actually got this advice during premarital counseling is try to set aside just 7 minutes a day where you're alone, where you can just talk to each other. It may be goals that you have together. It can be anything about anything. Anybody can pick a topic, and typically we alternate where we just talk. We communicate. And so, and even just what kind of derived from having those frequent conversations after she had our second child is she wanted to start working out with me. And so now we're starting to work out, 3 or 4 times a week. We're going to actually go work out after this Zoom call. But, that just really helped with the communication, because I think it's easy just because we're so busy. You can come in the house and you're just tired. You take your shower, you get in the bed, and you don't really talk. And so I think just being deliberate and intentional about having that communication and being consistent with it, that's been helpful.
That's awesome, brother. Look, man, we are way over already, but we have a tradition how we close out every week, man. First of all, let me say thank you, brothers, for being transparent. Thank you for giving, all the information that you had to give. I hope that our audience that was listening today picked up a few gems. We're gonna go to this topic again in the future. Like I said, bring on some ladies to help us to matriculate this conversation even further. With that, man, Brother Mawuli, can you close us out with the link in the chain, please?
All right, brothers, if you all will put your arms up like we're linking arms right now, take yourselves off of mute. And we want brothers all over, and sisters, if you're out there who are watching this, we in the spirit of Queen Injiri Alghani, and we say, I am a link in this chain.
I am a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't
break here.
I am a link in this chain.
I
am a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it won't break here.
We are links in this chain.
We are links in this chain.
And we won't break here.
And we won't break here.
Ashe.
Ashe. Brothers, thank you again.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes. Ladies that were listening in, thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. And we will
Portia, I see you with some of the great comments. I'm taking note of those comments, Portia. I see you. We always appreciate your support.
Absolutely. All right, thanks again,
All right,
everybody. We'll see you next week.
All right, y'all.
Peace,
All
fam.
right. Appreciate you, brothers.